Howdy, everybody. My name is Alan Taggart. I am the 4-H educator assistant professor that leads the Ada County 4-H program here in Boise, Idaho. In fact, I see a couple of my 4-H families here, and so really excited to have them here and colleagues as here as well. So a little more about me. I supervise the entire Ada County 4-H youth development program, which means I help train and certify volunteers to teach programs. I conduct research around youth development. I also build community partnerships to support the program. So we work with a lot of local nonprofits, libraries, schools, and really we reach thousands of youth each year as an entire program, the entire team. So a little more about 4-H specifically. So we are a nonprofit. We are the largest youth development organization in the United States. A little over 6.5 million kids are enrolled in the program. And the reason for that is, like Carrie mentioned, we are present in every county in the United States. And the strength of that is that the 4-H program is implemented through the land grant university of each state. So for here in Idaho, the land grant university is University of Idaho. For Texas, it's Texas A&M University. Utah State. Oregon next door is Oregon State, and then Washington State is in Washington. So every land grant university implements the 4-H youth development program. The three mandates of the 4-H mission are STEM, which covers quite a lot. It covers science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That's where a lot of the science, animal science is included in there. The second one, is healthy living. So anything having to do with encouraging kids to be mentally, physically healthy. And then the third one is civic engagement, encouraging youth to be active citizens. And so another part of my job is I also supervise our 4-H adventure camp program, which is really focused on outdoor education, getting kids active, getting them outdoors, but also the science and the things behind why we do things outdoors. One of those things is orienteering. So we'll be talking about a little bit about that today. But if you are interested in our camp program, I will put in the chat afterwards the link to our website. We will be opening registration in January, and really excited for the opportunity to provide experiences for youth that they don't really get to have anywhere else. I mean, where else are you going to learn orienteering? Where are you going to learn how to use a map and compass? Camp is a great place for that. Or where are you going to learn how to do archery or canoeing or kayaking? We pride ourselves in providing those experiences to be outdoors for all youth. So really excited to be with y'all today to talk about orienteering. So let's jump right into it. A little introduction to orienteering. So I actually grew up in Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout, and orienteering was one of the merit badges that I accomplished. But orienteering is also something that we cover in our 4-H programs as well. And I apologize, I may have some talking in the background. I've got kids here with us today, so my children specifically. So really excited to be here. But right here, I've got a copy of a typical compass. Everyone should know what this looks like when they see this for the first time. You've got the arrow that points north, and you've got the other pieces of it that with the degrees that you can kind of figure out what it is by looking at it. The compass has a very long history. We didn't understand as a human race what the magnetic field was, but early in 4 BC, there in the 4th century BC, China, we have the first documented evidence that they figured out that if you magnetized iron, that it would align itself with certain areas, with pointing north and south. And so the thing is, before that, we did use directions as a human race, but rather as a modern culture, because of our compass, we really focus on north being the predominant way that we figure out where we're going. But back in the day, before compasses were really invented, east was the predominant direction. Who can guess as to why east was the predominant? Like, why was east the go-to for figuring out where you were going to go? Why was east the predominant direction finder?
It's probably because of that's where the sun would set. I mean, yeah, where it would set. No.
Very close. It does have to do with the sun.
Where the sun rises. Yeah, sorry,
I got you. There we go. Yes, exactly. And I see it in the chat too. The sun rises in the east. So that's what people would look at to know, okay, and east, the word east actually has forgive me what I know that I just read about this. It's Proto-European dialect, which basically east is a word for twilight or the rising of the sun. And then from there, obviously west is where the sun sets. And then so if you got east to your left would be north. So let's see. So let's look at the compass rather than me just turning around. So we've got, if you're looking at east where the sun is rising, turn to your left, you've got north. So north is actually, the word behind north is basically to the left of. Then west would obviously be for dusk when the sun is setting. And then south was actually when you would stand at midday and you look straight up, the sun will be in the southern part of what you're seeing around you. So that was what that meant. So that's a little bit of history around the compass and how we even have it today. So let's talk a little bit about, now that we've covered the history, let's talk about the actual parts of a compass. And rather than me showing this up to the camera, okay, we're gonna look at the actual compasses. We're gonna zoom in a little bit. So I've got two different compasses here. This guy right here is the compass that I used in Scouts. And there is something wrong with this compass. Who can tell me what's wrong with it by looking at this guy? What is wrong with this compass?
It's not pointing north.
Okay, yes, that is true. So I'm actually sitting on a metal desk. So if I scoot it over to the side, it'll actually start pointing north, but then when I put it over the metal on the desk, it starts wigging out. It starts getting attracted to the iron in the desk. What else is wrong with this compass?
I think that I think it has to do something with that marble or water-like thing in the compass. Yeah, I can't pinpoint what. It's a bubble.
You're exactly right. There is an air bubble in here. Why would an air bubble be bad to have in your compass? Why would it be bad to have this air bubble in here? What do you guys think? What does everyone think out there?
Mostly because probably the bubble can mess with how it works, and it's probably created on how like how the iron is working, possibly. And
you are exactly right. That's exactly what will be happening. So you probably could get away with it. You probably could make it work. But if you're trying to navigate a certain way and that air bubble gets in your way, it's knocking your needle around, then you're just not going to get an accurate reading thanks to that air bubble. But thankfully, I have got a brand spanking new compass right here that we have for our 4-H camp. And we're going to talk a little bit about the parts of it. So let me zoom out and we'll look at the actual big diagram here. We'll see if we can make sure you guys see it all. So this guy right here, so you've got the actual compass. You've got this part is called the base plate. And the base plate is see-through. Why do you think it's important that a compass like this is see-through?
Well, I mean, it's important it's see-through. Oh, I'm pretty sure I see what it means. You could basically it's important to be see-through because when you're looking down at it, you can, like, let's say it gets in your way, you might trip on it or it may get in your way.
I love those guesses. So I'm actually going to switch the camera again. I'll show you why it's important. So we've got a picture of a map here. So this is a map of Boise and Garden City. My office, where I'm doing this class from, is right here. I'll zoom in and see if you guys can see what I'm even pointing at. So I am right here. This is my office. Right here is the Western Idaho Fairgrounds. You might be able to read that. It says Fairgrounds right there. Here's the old horse race track right here. But my office is right here. But if I'm trying to find a way, if I have my map with me and I'm trying to find my way with a map outdoors, I want to be able to see through the compass and look at where I'm navigating to. So anyways, that's why that's why this base plate is see-through. Let's talk about some other parts. So we've got this part right here of the compass. This actually gets to rotate. This is called a rotating bezel. It's also called an azimuth ring. Don't ask me why. That's what the internet told me. But I've always known it as a rotating bezel. That way you can figure out which direction you want to go. Then we also have this whole thing right here is the needle housing. Usually this is filled with water like that other one. And you really don't want to be, pulling this thing around and like shaking it a lot so you're not getting air in there. So you get those accurate readings. But let's talk about the actual needle housing itself. So does everyone see this orienting arrow? There's this, it kind of looks like a house right here. I'll try to angle it so you guys can see. Let me get the bigger one. So this guy right here, this house looking thing, that is called the orienting arrow. And some people also call it the shed. And we'll get to that in a second of why they call it the shed. Okay. Then we've got the actual magnetized needle right here. So this is the part that points north. But here's a question. I'm going to put this, I want everyone who's on here that can do chat and everyone there in that class that's here today, I want you to tell me true or false. A compass points to the North Pole. True or false? Okay, how many of you think that compasses do not point to the North Pole? Raise your hand. Okay. So you guys are correct. It does not point to the North Pole. It does not point to Santa's workshop. It actually points to magnetic north. Who's ever heard of magnetic north before? Okay, a few of you guys. So magnetic north is different from true north, where the North Pole is. So if you think of the world, you think of this, big ball, we're floating in space. You got North Pole, you got South Pole. And it's an imaginary line. There's not an actual pole there, but the Earth spins around on this axis. And that's true north, the North and South Pole. However, because of the way our Earth is shaped, we have a core. Our core is filled with molten iron. That molten iron creates a magnetic field that makes a compass work. So if there's a magnetized piece of iron or magnetized piece of nickel or cobalt, usually we use iron with compasses, that will always point to magnetic north. And so what's interesting about that, whenever you look at a map, I'm going to show you guys real quick. I've got a map here of Boise, Idaho. Let's see if you guys can see this. I'll zoom out. So you can look up on the NOAA website, that's NOAA. They can tell you what your true north and what your magnetic north is. So this is true north. If we're looking straight north, this line straight right here, that's true north. But magnetic north will always be going this way as of right now. What's interesting about magnetic north is that it can change. Every year, maps have to be updated with this information. This is called magnetic declination. So the magnetic declination is the difference between true north and magnetic north. And so whenever you're looking at a map like this, so let's go back here where I'm looking at this, I'm going to put a little X next to where my office is. If I want to see what direction my office is to, let's say, this is Capitol High School right here. Scoot up, this is Capitol High. If I want to get the correct direction on my compass, I need to make sure that I am turning my compass to account for the declination. So if you note, and this is a lot of new stuff, so just bear with me for a second. You might be able to see right here, the compass on this inside circle has some red words, and this stands for west declination, and then this stands for east declination. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. So whenever I'm messing with a compass, why do you think it'd be important for me to know when I'm looking at this map to make sure I'm thinking about declination? Why is it important to think about declination? Well, let me ask you this first. Do you think this map, is this map focused on magnetic north or true north? Anyone could shout it out. Is this map based on true north or magnetic north?
True north.
That's right. It's based on true north. So what we're doing when we're looking at this map, we're trying to make sure that we are looking at true north, and the way I'll go into why we do that in a second. But when we're looking at the declination, so right here, the declination for Boise is 13.6 degrees east. And every year it changes 0.6 degrees. So that's why it's always important to try to use the most updated map that you can, at least within the past 5 years. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about actually orienting our map. So I've got you guys for a few more minutes. So we're going to go back here and look at this map. I'm going to grab our compass. So I talked a little bit about red in the shed. So if I am trying to find a direction, so let's say I want to go west. So I'm going to turn my rotating bezel to this little white marker right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going to change it to west. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my whole body until this pointer that's pointing to north fits in the shed. And so once I do that, once it's fitted in the shed, I know that this arrow right here is pointing west. So if I wanted to go, let's say, to 160 degrees, because a circle has 360 degrees, I would need to rotate myself until the red arrow fits, the red is in the shed. And that means that I'm going that direction. I'm going 160 degrees. So how about a map? How would I do this with a map? So let's say I want to find my way. I want to walk, this is my office right here. I want to walk all the way to Capitol High School. Let's pretend that none of these streets exist and we're in the wilderness and I'm trying to get to this high school. So I want to get from here to here. You can use the straight edge of your compass to figure that out. So once you've drawn that, first what you have to do is make sure that your map is oriented to north, because the top of this map is true north. So I have it set to north, but does anyone remember how many degrees declination we need to change it to? I'll give you a hint. I'll hold up the paper. Who could read this?
I believe it's, I got 12 something east. Apparently it's 13.6.
There you go. Yeah, so it's 13 degrees. So if we look, it's going to be hard to see with the zoom, but we're going to turn that to where this red line, because this is the east side, we're going to turn it until it gets to about 13 degrees, because these little tiny red dots go by 2 degrees each. So I'm doing, there's 12, there's 13. Okay, so what we're going to do is now I'm going to take my map, hold it with the compass lined up perfectly against the edge of the sheet, and I'm going to turn it. I can hold it and show you on the camera at the same time. I'm going to turn it until red is in the shed. There we go. So now our map, and it doesn't look right because I'm putting the compass on top of the iron desk here, but it is oriented. So this map is now pointing north. Let me try to scoot this in the camera frame for you guys. So now that I have it pointed north, I can see what degrees from my office to Capitol High School. So what I have to do is line it up. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that because of the desk, so I'll just kind of approximate it here, hold it up against the line, and I'm going to turn the shed until it fits the red, and I see, if you guys can read that, I can see that it is about 230 degrees from my office to Capitol High School. So if I walk 230 degrees and fit red in the shed, so from my office, fit red in the shed, I need to walk that way, and I should hit nearby or right at Capitol High School. And the importance of finding landmarks like that, especially when you're out in the wilderness, the importance of that is so that you can really make sure that you're going in the right direction. If you're in the mountains, what could be helpful are mountain peaks. It could be a lake or another body of water. It could be a river, and that can really give you some good direction on where to go. And so that is a basic crash course on orienteering. If you actually want to learn how to do this, at camp, we will be offering classes on this in the springtime, where you actually get to have one of these compasses and work it with a map and actually have a challenge where you have to make it to different spots. That's something that we do as well. And so I really think it's really important for us to know how compasses work and why they're important. A lot of the times you can even find it on your phone. I know iPhones, they have a compass app themselves. I'll pull it up what it looks like. So if you guys could see that, it's the same kind of thing. You've got to balance it so it's just right, but it will automatically turn to the degrees that you're facing. So does anyone happen to have a compass here with them today? Raise your hand if anyone has a compass with them. No? Because I was going to say, if you do have a phone, or if you do have a compass, take the time to see where your bearings are. See which way is north, see which way is south, east, and west. Another acronym, so there's red in the shed, but another thing that I really like when it comes to memorizing the directions is that you work your way left. It's an acronym for, I'm sorry, the other way. Never eat sour worms, or never eat soggy waffles. There's a lot of different variations on that to remember: north, east, south, and west. So with that, that is it for me on time. And I do see there was a question, so I'll open it up for a few minutes for questions. The first question from Nampa Public Library: does a compass on a rear view mirror in a vehicle point to true north or magnetic north? What's really cool about computers, there's a lot of, obviously, like devices like this, smart devices, cars, that automatically account for declination. And that's why it's important to update your vehicle as much as possible, especially with a lot of the computer chips and things that are in today. And I know that some other vehicles will probably just based on an actual magnetic compass.
Okay, well, with that, thank you everybody again. And we'll stay on for another minute or two in case you have questions, but otherwise we'll see you next time.